So the next speaker for today is also one of my favorite. His name is Ajit Soundarajan. Ajit experience includes a lot of different things. So he has over a decade of work experience in the area of design, product, business, strategy, and UX research across B2B and B2C, which is business to business and business to consumer platforms, which has different functions and domains, including SaaS, cloud, banking, telecom, travel, research labs, and other custom business solutions. He has received various awards. He has published his works in several top conferences, which includes ACM SIDGRAPH, MIT Journal, and a lot more. So today, Ajit is going to put some light on designing products for everyone, which is evolving businesses for the future. Right? So please welcome Ajit Soundarajan. The stage is all yours, Ajit.
Thanks, Kusema, for I don't know where to hide my face, but thanks for the intro. Uh, I think we had a variety of talks today. Really enjoyed each and every single one of them, and there was a very nice theme throughout. And uh, for me, design is like actually I'll say this, right? Design for me is like a language. It's like learning a language. Uh, I mean, most of you, there is a beauty of how you speak in Tamil in Coimbatore or Chennai or Madurai or Trichy. There has an accent. There is a culture associated with it. There is a lot of feelings associated with it, and I mean that's the beauty of the language, right? For me, design is like that. Uh, it just instantly clicks. So. Uh, but moving beyond, right, when we start designing for and this is more like art, right? That's how people look at us. Hey, this person is a creative person, very good, you go be a designer, right? But design in the real world is very different, right? Designing for business is very different. You see a lot of big words like evolving, business, future. For a second, let's forget all that, right? I hope the slide is also switching. You folks are able to see that, right?
Yes, we are able to see your screen, Ajit.
Okay. So I'll just ask this word, right? So what do you think a business comprises of? You folks can also share in the chat. I'll also have a look at that. What do you think a business, any business, you could take even Zoho, or you could take Freshdesk, or where I work currently, Flipkart, or a Kirana shop, or any business for the matter, right? What do you think a business comprises of? Any broad answers? Look at the chat. Good. Very nice. Okay, cool. Good. Very nice. I think you guys are getting the context. So broadly, right, if you take any business, it combines of three major blocks. Okay. Of course, the business models and financials, have that in mind. Because without money, we can't run a business, right? Business models and financials come together. What do they do in that business, right? They sell a product or service, and I think I saw a lot in the chat. Now here comes the third part, right? In these two are very, what do you say? These two will not exist without humans who make it and the humans who use it. Okay. The beauty of this whole pillar is there is a huge pillar in this whole business domain called users. I'll call them humans, but I'll slowly move to users. Users are the pillar of anything. Doesn't matter whether you're building it for a B2C platform or a B2B platform. Like if you take Freshworks or Zoho, right? They make a lot of products. They have services too. There are employees who actually build the products, and employees use a lot of products, right? And the employees make the products, and this has been taken to the target audience, right? People buy CRM software or support desk software, go into e-commerce platforms. There is a customer who buys it, and there are sellers who actually post stuff on the platform, right? And there are products that exist for both of these, and there are people who make that work. There's supply chain folks. There is logistics folks. I mean, during the pandemic, I'm not even sure what we would have done without them, right? So it's about people, right? You can take a car, my favorite brand, or a bike, Royal Enfield. Uh, there are people who make the product, they craft the product, and there are people who love the product. And all these people who love the product also turn into loyalists sometimes. It's not like they even shift out of that brand, right? Again, it's about people, right? Let me dumb it down to a very small kirana shop or a vegetable vendor, right? That person holds the business model, financials, everything together, right? Their product they sell it to people who come to them, or madam, please WhatsApp me, or sir, just call me, I will come and deliver it to you, right? Again, it's about people. Even in the smallest business, it's about people, right? If you see throughout humanity, we've always managed to stay afloat doing two things: communication and business. All the cultural aspects and other interactions that we do comes into the communication block. All the barter system and how the world runs, the complex logistics, trade, everything comes into business, right? Broadly, this is where it is, and it is for people. Okay, now that's where it is, right? Everything is for people. uh, Now what I want to do is, let's forget business for a moment, right? Let's kind of zoom into this user, just the user, right? uh, I just want you to imagine, let's say an IT person, typical, right? IT person in an organization. uh, Users can be this IT person in an organization who's in your canteen, right? uh, who might be using some product, like a mobile phone that they are using, like it's part of their life. There could be so many things, or like a auto guy whom you basically take the ride in the morning, or it's the maid that comes to your house. It could be anybody, right? Or it is your boss. Like, there's just so many people, right? If you start looking at this whole structure, the design principles and stuff that we use to make products for these folks, right? Every single person, might be a boss, might be a seller, might be your colleague, might be anybody, remains the same. Which means to say, whatever I do for my customers and whatever I do for internal employees, the principle with which I design for all these folks remains the same. B2C is extremely overrated. It's not that Swiggy or Flipkart, they do amazing design. It's completely out of the world. There is so much of supply chain, which is the back end, that people are not even aware of. They make it work even more. It is the delivery that comes to you on time by that person. That person basically makes your life. It is the ultimate onboarding that for a small business owner, pre-sales or a salesperson does, that they remember, right? It's about people again, right? Market. So the idea is, market comprises of users, right? And users basically decide whether to make a product, or the product breaks in the market. It's not the product. So let's forget, I mean, product wins, no, those are myths, those are marketing terms, right? Users basically decide, market basically decides whether to make or break any product, period, right? Market trumps anytime. I'll give you a personal example. I did my master's in HCI in 2005. My thesis was, all the SIGGRAPH and ACM was on virtual reality. And where are we with virtual reality, right? Everybody who saw it was, hey, cool, awesome. The next question was, okay, do you know coding? Do you know this, right? No matter what cool technology that you work on, if it is not put into context of how a user can use in their everyday life, I'm not even sure what we are doing, right? Now that brings me to the next point, right? Focusing on this user more deeper. Have you ever wondered what every single user's day looks like? Have you ever imagined, right? What would be a journey of a female entrepreneur who's actually sitting at home trying to sell let's say, homemade crafts to over Facebook or Instagram. She has a 4-year-old kid. She's in a nuclear family. Have you ever wondered what her life would be? What are her needs? What are her wants? What drives her? What blocks her? Or an IT person in Bangalore who has a pet. What is that person's journey like? How does that person get to work? What do they consume? What do they do in the evenings? Right? Have you ever wondered what their day is like? Right? Now, these are the stuff like the word empathy and everything, right? So, going deep into these users and understanding what basically drives them, what basically stops them, what are their feelings, these are very, very important. And this typically I call day in a life of, I think you would have heard. And I focus a lot on this because I want to make every day of their life happen when I build a product, right? Now, I'll add, I think you've heard these in the other presentations, right? Now I'll add a very different perspective to this whole equation. Imagine the same users 30 years back in time. Let's take 1990, right? I was talking about an IT employee in Bangalore. I'm not even sure if an IT employee in Bangalore exists. Maybe an equivalent would be a bank employee or someone who works in the government office, right? The female entrepreneur, I'm not even sure if the world was ready for it, right? What would have been the tools for them at that point? Because these days you have Uber, Swiggy, Ola, like to meet your needs. There is B2B softwares like Zoho, Freshdesk, which basically helps you in your day-to-day business activities. This phone pay to get your payments. Life is easy right now. What was it 30 years back? What were the products that they basically used, or what were the services they used to basically lead their life and move along, right? Imagine going to 1950s. I'm not even sure what they would have used, right? The reason why I'm bringing time into perspective is because people evolve, right? Over time, people evolve. And because of which, this is a beautiful world, right? Beautiful word, because products don't remain the same. It will change. It will change. And what is key here is watching for the trend. And believe me, as designers, I think this is your biggest advantage. You have the ability to dream about the future in which you might want to live, or your parents want to live, or your kids want to live, or your friends want to live. You define your future. You can imagine, hey, I want to do this. How do you think all startup ideas even sprouted, right? They decided 2007 is when Flipkart started. Internet was there. Who would have thought there was a B2C company in India which actually gave a good fight to Amazon from India? Amazon probably does not have any competitor around the world, let alone US, right? There's nothing. In India, they fight against Flipkart. They are not able to penetrate into tier 2 and tier 3. Tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, Amazon has zero, like very low penetration. Flipkart does, because we understand the market. We understand people, right? Similarly, Freshdesk and Zoho are great examples, right? Everybody thought only enterprise companies would buy like these expensive softwares like SAP and Oracle, and those are not the days. I can run a small business and give you like an enterprise grade support with just tools that Freshworks and Zoho give, right? People evolve over time, and also there is a need for tools that start sprouting up, right? Change is a constant. Always believe, always watch trends, understand habits, understand behaviors, understand how people evolve, without judging any of these folks, right? Just watch what they do. You will start automatically seeing so many opportunities that come out there. Okay. I just want you folks to see if you can give me examples of products that have changed over time. Let's take the same 1980, 2000, 2020. Some examples of products that have changed over time. Can you type on chat? There is snappy. Okay, I see a lot. Sensors. Mobile, brilliant. Light bulb, very good. Bike, has bike evolved? Okay. RE, okay. IoT devices, cool, cool. You're getting the idea. Uh, Internet is more of a technology. Automobiles again more of a medium. Gaming consoles. So I'll communication devices, right? As phone. Whoever thought that phone could actually be a very very different device and it could do a lot more than just calling, right? If you see 2006 is when there was something called PDA, personal devices, something that Microsoft had, right? It had not cracked. It had all the beautiful offer, Microsoft Office and everything on like a small device, and people, it was meant only for business and everything. And 2007, Apple broke everything and got iPhone, which said like people can do anything on a phone, right? Who did that? Who basically thought that a phone can do so many things? A designer. That's very. You guys know where iPhone came from, right? So a designer thought of a dream, and maybe it's possible, and it happened. Working spaces. Whoever thought Zoom or Microsoft Team Communications is going to literally bring down some of the biggest co-working spaces in the world? I mean, what you need to do is meeting. Why basically have go to fancy places and do all that for just that 1 hour, right? So much of wastage of time, money, everything. Let's just do a Zoom call. In fact, the Zoom CEO did most of his call in Zoom calls. Every investor calls in Zoom calls, right? Another examples of services. What can you say? Any examples of services that you think has changed? Okay, I'll go to the next one. So services could be finance, right? Banks have completely changed into something called Paytm or PhonePe. Banks used to be this place where big offices go, or like a big industrialist goes to the bank to get a loan or things like that. Now it's not anymore. Like bank transfers and everything, especially in India, right, has completely changed the game. There is a vegetable vendor who's sitting, who's actually selling vegetables outside your home, and they have like a small PhonePe or a Paytm barcode scanner. You can just pay them and move on, because there is huge value there. They get money instantly, right? After of course, the demonetization time here, right? Another example is in South Africa. They used to all the big banks in South Africa, because of apartheid and other cultural aspects, they never or the dark-skinned people never liked going to the bank, because they felt always being looked down upon and things like that. Vodafone basically got something called M-Pesa and said, you want to transfer money from South Africa to Kenya, just use your phone, say how much money you want, you put a secret pin, it will go to your mom can go to any shop in Kenya and they can take money from there. That changed the game. Kenya is probably one of the most advanced modern finance, has modern finance payment structures in the world. Other examples are retail to commerce, retail to e-commerce. There's so many people who just buy on e-commerce these days, especially this pandemic. I mean, it just blew it up, right? Business productivity tools, right? Gone are those days where typewriters and account keeping is moved into digital formats where work is done faster, right? If you, I'll just do one more example of features. Everybody wants to move to automatic, right? In cars, gone are those manual gear shifts. More automatics are flowing in. EVs are going to basically completely take away the manual gear shifts, right? Traditional maps completely gone, and there is just Google Maps, right? Google Map has just changed the way we travel, literally, right? Save button is not even relevant anymore, right? Files are automatically stored these days. So a lot of trends, right? You just keep watching trends. There's so many interesting things that keep happening, right? Oh, sorry. Anybody know of this meme? Bernie Sanders meme? It just put in for the fun of it.
Yes, I've been looking at it whole day.
Yeah, sorry. So it's just a fun thing. So again, something which is trending, right? Everybody, people are aware of. So that's the idea. But the common theme from all these, whatever I was telling before, right? Oh, see, products evolve for what, right? And it evolves for the user. And at the end of all these things, right? All these has made the user's life easier. By how, right? It has given back some of their precious time. It saves time for them, right? It has saved money and effort, right? A lot of money is saved. I mean, I don't have to travel for so long to uh, for a business meeting or something, right? I can just do it over Zoom call. Or if I have to, I don't have to go to the bank to basically do a bank transfer. I can do an instant payment transfer, right? Because of all this, what is also happening is people rediscover a very good version of themselves, a sense of accomplishment, confidence to find that best version of themselves, right? uh, it does not stop there. Once they basically achieve that state, they move into a state where they start empowering others, and that's an even bigger feeling. What design does is basically empower, right? It enables people, it empowers people, and that's a mark of a very good design, right? You can take whatever products that come into your mind, you can kind of start fitting into this, right? One thing to remember, right? Never ever judge your user. It could be any user. It could be your maid. It could be your. Uh, uh, it could be someone who's doing like a security service. It could be anybody, right? Like just because they do a mean job, or someone who comes to collect your trash, right? Everybody is a user, and treat them without bias, treat them with respect. That's very very important to look for a business opportunity, right? Treat them with respect. Automatically you'll start seeing opportunities around. Oh, I could actually make their life better this way, that way. And you've seen so many examples that are springing up, right? So I always believe in the concept of good design is good business, right? At the end of the day, you do a very good design, there is a business opportunity that always lies with it, right? It will move towards a good business opportunity. And as designers, when you think business, you start having a very different line of sight. You start thinking products differently. That is one of the reasons why our government also has encouraged design thinking as part of a standard school curriculum and across college curriculums in India as well. So that's actually a good moment for design in the future years of India, especially. So that's what I said, right? One of the key aspects of a good design is it empowers and it enables people to realize the true value of technology you can give, what you can give back to the users and help them sustain both in an economic fashion, grow their income, especially, right? That is a good result of this. I'll give you a small example that happened near my house during the pandemic. There was a small vegetable vendor, not a vegetable vendor, like a grocery and a vegetable shop combined, right? This guy was completely offline, was not on Google Maps or anything. I just moved to Bangalore and he was the person near me. So I had to go to his shop to buy stuff. Pandemic struck. And this person evolved. He was like, okay, let me first put mobile payments. So he set up PhonePe and Paytm scan code so that people could actually transfer money instantly. The next thing was he was on WhatsApp and basically saying, sir, this is my WhatsApp thing. You can basically, what do you say? You can WhatsApp me your order. I can come and give it to you. Over the months, you know how the pandemic went, right? By May or June, this guy was on Dunzo and Swiggy. And he was taking orders through that, right? This guy had, and he was a young chap, right? He had figured out how to basically keep his business alive through the pandemic using the tools that was actually empowering him. He didn't stop there, right? He by I think September, this guy had made so much money because there were not many shops nearby our house. He had actually employed two more delivery folks, and to basically start delivering to our apartment. And this was something which blew me away, which is like, it told me just one thing. I mean, we talk about good design and things like that, right? There is people, and at the time of when people are pushed to think beyond what is their, okay, what shall I do now, right? Products that have very high value, even if it's like designed to a decent extent, right, will get adopted, right? The value that you give to the user is always more and more important. Always think along those lines. It does not matter, oh, future of technology, all this blockchain, IoT, blah 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 blah. I mean, even in this very simple case, there is so much of IoT involved in the delivering space. There is so much of AR involved, where a person can basically scan the code and pay. All these technologies are behind, but what brings the true value out of all these technology platforms is the design thinking layer that is on top of it for the user, right? And this guy basically is now doing really well, right? A very small business owner who's basically able to survive here, right? Now, under all this, whatever you see, where does the designer fit, right? As I was saying, technologies are basically platforms, right? I want to work in blockchain. I want to work in IoT, VR, AR. I want to work on drones. What is the design there? Like, see, all these are platforms. As a designer, your job is to see how to basically take this technology to the users. That is where you fit in. That's where you come. You also push technology to think hard to see, is there another technology which can come? You're the person who's closest to the user, so think users first always, right? Because no matter how advanced the technology is, if the user cannot understand what the technology is or realize the value of the technology, it's useless. It's as good as 50 years of research basically dumped or archived, right? So very strong believer in the design layer enabling technology. So where do you come, right? All these big terms, quantum computing, IoT, and all these things. You are the person who enables the users, like you empower them because you dream a future for them, right? You're thinking about how this technology can be used. How nobody thought that I could have basically, instead of me going and switching on and off, or Amma, please, can you turn on that fan? Or somebody calling you, right? You just say, hey, Google, turn on fan, and it works, right? Or you like something at a shop, can I just take a picture and can a similar product be recommended? Was it even possible before? But it was possible, right? All this that you do, right, is for the users. And never stop dreaming there, because that is what is basically telling you the story of the future, right? Don't fear, do a proof of concept. Doesn't matter how bad or if it's not polished, but see if a user can realize the value of the dream that you're dreaming. The dream here is nothing but the design that you're putting forward, right? For me, be a tinkerer at heart, be curious, be the problem statement that you always have. How do I basically make this user's life better, right? What can I give them? What can I do to make their life better? Just tons of opportunities that just open up. And storytelling becomes a key aspect of this. So I've kind of listed like some points that for all youngsters out there on what can a designer think, right? Like I like the 10 principles of Dieter Rams, but I think we are moving into the future and we have to think differently. So one, think inclusive. Visual alone is not going to help. Very simple example, AI is basically crunching data and basically giving everything on the screen. It might even automate stuff for you. Visual is not alone going to make sense. Think for all senses and all medium. Not everything is an app is not a solution to everything, right? think beyond senses, beyond mediums. It could be voice, it could be a small watch that basically just vibrates to tell you that something is going to happen, anything, right? Think inclusive, like think beyond just UI, right? Design for meaningful engagements. Just looking at videos is not going to help, right? TikTok, for the matter, they've not still been able to monetize on the platform. They're not getting money out of the platform. You can keep pumping money. Instagram suddenly got shops on Instagram, and that is what gave them money, right? Think of meaningful engagements. That is very, very important, right? Design for incentives and that make economic sense, right? A person is not just going to come on your platform just enjoy something, right? The person needs to get something out of it. Either they save money, they save time, there is something that they get out of it, right? Because of which the users feel empowered, right? And they feel so empowered that they can also enable people around them. That's how your design should be, right? And when you are designing for the user, respect your user, respect their environment, respect their context, which is where culture, values, everything come, right? You can't directly take something which is designed in the user, US or the West and directly apply it in India. It is not going to work. When you're designing for India, think for the people of India. And I think you have quite a bit of work to do there because this India is so diverse, right? Again, think modular, right? This promotes reuse and eventually sustainability. And this think modular is such a powerful concept. Design system falls as part of this, right? Move beyond interface, and you can start seeing this in supply chain like crazy. Crates of the same size, right? Crates of different sizes in supply chain, which actually gets all the stuff to you, to your house. Containers of different sizes. Like, think modular beyond interface. Go to physical interfaces as well. You'll see modularity in a lot of beautiful product design, industrial design items. Good industrial designs always have good modular products, modular thinking. This is something which I think is going to be the future of where we are going to go. Design for social collaboration. We all talk about AI kind of going to take our world and things like that. No, it's not that way, right? Design is going to there is AI part of it. Yeah, I'm hearing a sound. I'm not sure what that is. Time's up, is it?
No, Ajit. Maybe some technical.
Okay. So again, AI is not going to basically take over the whole world. AI is only going to perform over a data which it already has or which it knows. Certainty, right? Humans are beyond it, right? There is a whole bit of uncertainty layer there, and design actually has to play the balancing role between this certainty and uncertainty. Designing for uncertainty is what I think India is going to define in the future. Design for ambiguous interfaces, design for ambiguous situations. How can basically design help there? And I think that's a huge problem space. And collaboration is going to be a constant fabric in this whole equation, because I think you might also end up designing, let's say, languages that AI actually talk with each other, machines talk with each other. I think there is a huge push towards vernacular, right? So one small example, Amazon is still trying to crack how it can basically enable languages in all Indian languages, right? Basically what Amazon thought was people will just use the app to buy. No. What is happening that we are learning at Flipkart is we have a small voice ordering for grocery. People just open and tap and say 2 kilo atta, right? 1 liter ghee. And these are kind of like natural voices that they are using. Even better, right? If I have access to the actual shop which is nearby, I'll actually WhatsApp or call them and say, can you just give? You will never use the app. Your app is not even going to come into the context, right? Whatever you design for social collaboration. right? Imagine where the scenario is and how local language, vernacular, how the culture is going to help you, right? There is still, we've hardly scratched, I would say, by data, it's just less than 50 million users of India basically shop online. Actually, it's not even that, 25 million max, right? 400 million are basically on the digital platform, out of which at least 300 million have just started doing mobile payments. India's population is 1.3 billion. I think we still have a long way to go. This humongous amount of opportunity, and everybody, you can actually design for a lot of folks in India. It's one of the biggest markets in the world, right? So you design for India, you're designing for the world, and that's sure, right? We are moving away from the concepts of what design principles were being taught to us from a very structured perspective to a very dynamic environment. How can design principles work there? They also are evolving, right? So keep that in mind. Keep tinkering, keep experimenting, keep learning, keep evolving. Never stop experimenting. I would say design something, put out there, get feedback, and keep doing that again and again. And last but not the least, as a designer, never forget to tell a good story. Good story is very, 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 very important, because that's how you sell your dream, right? And never fear to dream. I want to leave you with that. Again, future, what is it there? There is drone delivery. Can I basically live on the move? Can I go asset light? Balance between users and automation. Can I change the way infrastructure operates in this country? Do we even need a government? Can I design an education system? Can I design a medical diagnostic system that is accessible on my phone or a smartwatch? Can I design a new language that AI and humans can share? There's just so many things, right? Can I think about a new way of designing money, right? There's so many things that come here, right? What I want you to do is, I'll just paint a small story here. I'll end with it. I'll end with the video. When you're describing someone's future, right? Give a good story, like something like taking someone called Sana Kabir, who moves from Bangalore to Coimbatore, starts a new job at Agri-Tech Consultant. This is happening in 2030. Sana took her sling bag and walked to a nearby EV station. She just flashed her smartwatch, and she took a bike from there, went to the southern Bangalore hub, left the EV there, hopped onto a train, and she just took a foldable interface through which she started seeing what is there in Coimbatore and what are all the recommendations that she's getting. She's already transferred her bag from Bangalore to Coimbatore through a logistic solution, and that is already updating her that it has reached her destination. Tell a story on what the future can be, right? It's very, very, very powerful. I'll leave with this, right? There has never been a better time for a designer, and dream the future you want to be part of and build it without fear. Keep humans at the center of it, respect them for what they are, and empower them always. And every single app, every single software that is going to come out there, if they fall under this category, they will survive the test of time. If they don't, they will die, most probably. I really wish I can live in that future. So very surprisingly, I think 2 days back, Rahman released an album. I'm not sure if I can play it here. But he talks on a very, very similar line, and I was very happy to hear it. I'll just share this with you. You guys could also YouTube.
We could able to play it, Ajit. It will be better.
You guys can play it?
Yeah. I'm playing it.
Okay. Sorry, I'm going to see all the chats right now.
Movies influence cultures, and cultures influence movies. There's no denying the power of the visual medium. Our own worlds are inspired and influenced in some way or the other by the fascinating worlds we see on the big screen. From glorious superhero epics to family sagas, from spine-chilling thrillers to tales of innocence, the stories we see are the stories we live. It's then our responsibility to tell the right stories, bring out the true narrative. For too long, the world has heard and seen only mainstream stories from certain cultures, their perspectives, their narratives, their truths, their triumphs, their glories, their pains, their tribulations. The world honors excellence, and it is true that we have learned a lot from the brilliant Western mainstream cinema. But there is a beauty in every culture and their stories. We often hate what we do not understand. The world is evolving and it's giving birth every second. Let's embrace that.
I think we can use this
so that
time.
people can see this.
Yes, we can use this time for question and answer.
I see a couple of questions.
Yes, I think there's one important question which has come up after your talk, Ajit. So there's an active question, and since majority of our audience are also students, I think this is something that I will like you to pick up. So it says, "Hi Ajit. Sometimes when people say about UI or UX or HCI interaction design, why is it always restricted to web design or app design? Why not they speak about UI UX in automobile dashboard or AR or VR or some other domain? Because I feel design should be open to all domains since design solves daily issues as per Don Norman."
Okay, I think Kuzema might know where my answers will come from. Hey, for me, everything is the same. I was a HCI researcher, right? I have no clue how I even got into product design, and I actually started designing. See, design, as I said, is a layer, right? Design is a package. AR, VR, again, what you mentioned is technologies. How do you offer this package to the users is how you want to think about stuff. And if all of the industry is talking, I think it's time we basically change. I think they're slowly getting used to the idea of what design is. So don't be bogged down by that. Automotive dashboard design is going to be one of the, it's going to be future, right? When Tesla is talking about autopilot and stuff and people are sitting inside the car, what are they going to do inside the car? There's going to be so much that is going to come in. Think of design like enablement. Don't think of just UI, UX, it's an interface. No, an interface is a very general term, right? Interfaces could be anything. Before the times of computer, a table was an interface where people used to exchange stuff and actually do stuff on table, right? So don't restrict yourself to just the screen. That's what I want to say. Go beyond it. If a user, if there is a product, there is a circle around this product. Think about how this product can live in that circle. How can it be used? How can people come to the product? How can people realize the product? How can people share this product with everybody? Right? That's how we want to think about a product design. You know, and marketing is part of it. Videos are part of it. Everything is part of it. If somebody is saying, I will do marketing separately, I'll do product design separately, it's not going to work. I mean, I'm dead against it. And I think Kuzema knows that. Fundamentally, I want to ensure that everything goes as a single package. Design is about designing that package, right? So that is very important. So
it's a tiny universe where everything works together.
It's just it's like if you've seen what is that A-Team or something, right? When the actor says, "I love it when all the plan comes together." That's what is design. There's no perfect design. Put it together. Let's see how it works, right? And learn from it. So,
I think the next question is also kind of a follow-up question from Abhijit, which is, where can I learn more about designing UI and UX? Which you should not say UI and UX. You should say experience design. It's all a part of it. But now that there is all technology coming up, he wants to learn more about the overall UI UX plus AR, VR, MR technologies. Is there any resource available? And how do I know?
See,
yes.
By the way, HCI is human-computer interaction. psychology and computer science. At least it was like that before. I think now it's changing a little bit.
It's one of the things which has evolved over time.
So I've literally grown along with it to see how it has evolved. It's a beautiful journey, at least for me. AR, VR, Coursera is actually a good place to start. Khan Academy is a good place to start to see how AR, VR can be used. Again, all these are technologies. Do not basically go deep into one technology, but rather think about the user and see how you can fit the technology to them. Right? That is how solutions in India have come up. And Rajalakshmi is one of the best examples, right? She said she didn't know about anything, but she had a problem. She went after what could I do to make that better. Everything started falling into place. Think about the user, think about their journey, and see how you can design for them. Then start learning side by side. You will start seeing that these two are merging. Right?
So in a nutshell, what you mean to say is it's not to be a specialist, but to be a generalist. Once you know what problem you're solving, you can then focus on how you're solving that problem.
By the way, measuring is a very, very important part. Always measure. But I'll also tell you this. Measuring can be done using a lot of softwares. There are product, I think, Mixpanel and stuff, or even Google Analytics, basically to do the user flows and basically test how you measure the success of your design. Another thing, don't go by stats always. That's where storytelling wins. Sometimes, okay, small example, right? Out of 6,000 people in Chennai, 1,005 in one particular, let's say Tenampet, 1,500 were affected by Corona. Everybody looks at it like a stat. But if I say my next door neighbor got affected by Corona, he suffered a lot. The government basically came there and supplied all the medicines. They couldn't come out of their apartment. I had to basically give. Now that is a story, right? That's why I asked you. That's why I request all the designers, budding designers out there, right? Get good at storytelling. I did stats as part of HCI. Statistics was one of the major things that I had to do. But at the end of the day, stats can be tweaked. You can do whatever you want. A number has to tell a story. So tell the story. Right. So I'll leave you with that. Base criticism. Can you say how to overcome it? You are dreaming. I mean, you are dreaming the future for them. Graphic design, I don't know what to say. That Kannagi Nagar is one of the best examples. They were changing the face of what that community can be. Now, these are the examples you have to say, right? Watch trends. The reason why I tell you watch trends is because that is when you will be able to tie the story together, right? Don't just go deep into one design. Design is a language. As a language, start seeing everything from that perspective. Everything changes.
Yes, Ajit. So I think there's another common comment which I think is useful for all the new designers, which is whenever I hear this kind of talks, it feels like they are always targeted towards people like CEOs and senior designers. But as a fresher, a part of a big organization, I feel like I can't do much. I think this is maybe because the kind of content they're hearing or kind of perception they have, but it's definitely not targeted towards it. Can you clarify more to this, please?
I was in your shoes sometime back also. Arun, this is doing a small thing, right? So, see, you also, if you think you are starting to look beyond and think big, then go after, live the dream, right? For some time, I was also almost about to say, right? All you designers out there, just don't stop dreaming, right? Why don't you be an entrepreneur? Why don't we basically give the term designopreneur like a new meaning? Why can't you start business? And that is the reason I focused a lot on business, economic incentives. Don't shy away from that, right? Start thinking those things from design angle. It's a beautiful world. After that, I'm 100% confident you can take any question from any investor, from any product manager. I mean, Kusema will know what I'm talking about. I mean, the kind of fights that I've had with business folks to basically put down my foot and say, this is how it should be. It's possible. It's just that you need to take that effort. Don't shy away. Have strong storytelling. You can definitely win.
I think the person who asked this question, Arun, is standing at the other end of the spectrum, where he's looking at the other side, but he's not imagining that there's already a bridge above him. You just need to fall.
For a designer, remove fear. Talk, remove fear. That's why for me, the core aspect of a designer is a fearless designer is something that everybody will kind of, oh, okay, I think we have to listen to that person. Remove fear. Remove fear.
I elaborate a little bit on what Arun means, what Ajit means by remove fear. In a nutshell, right, in an example, if you're afraid of doing a design, if you don't even start thinking about it, if you don't even do it, you will never realize how that works with the users. If you follow the conventional path, which is the safe design path, right, you may never be able to understand the reality. So it's always good to take your guesses, understand your gut feeling, try it, experiment it, and then see how it works. If it works out well, you have discovered a pattern. You have discovered something new. That's what gives you growth. And that's when you reach out to the other end of the spectrum, where you have a gut feeling that you think this will work, but the business folks say that it won't. And that's when you can put your foot down and say that this is what I feel, and I felt that in the past and it's worked wonders. It will work this time as well. But if you never come out of that comfort zone, you will never be in a position.
Every time when somebody shows me the design, I'll push like, is this the best? Can we do even better? What is it saying? Keep pushing. A design is pushing boundaries. Design is about dreaming, pushing boundaries, which means have that in mind. That is very, very important. Okay, I don't want to stop the other speakers, so I'll move to the chat.
I think your talk was so interesting that every time you answer a question, people will start posting another 5 questions on top of it. So I think I'll leave you with that. And everyone who has questions, right, they can reach out to Arun. I'll also share Arun's LinkedIn ID to you guys in the chat later. You guys can reach out to Arun in all in the chat right now.
Not Arun, Ajit. You must have know his name.
Kusema. Name now. Sorry,
it's okay.
Maybe I may have a mistake, but you must have know it, right? You have worked with her.
Yeah, it's okay, Kusema. Move on.
See, I can't forgive him, man. Like
one thing or the other. Looking at Ajit, every time I forget something. This is just one of them. It's always happening. All right. But anyways, thank you very much, Ajit. It was a lovely presentation, and I hope everyone has a lot of questions. So if you could stay back for some time until everyone has some questions, you can answer them on live chat. I'll also share a link to your LinkedIn so that they can connect with you later, or if they are looking for mentorship, please help them.